the past few years, the automotive landscape has pretty much been resumed to vehicles like this one. Large, massive, and very blocky SUVs. Actually, these vehicles are so dominant on the road that the cars have pretty much disappeared. We now associate normal to big vehicles like this one. Yes, that's right, the automotive industry is very good at making you believe that you need more space.
You're getting a great deal on all that space you need.
Wait a minute, you need space? Trunk space.
But what if there was a car maker that went in the other direction? Ah yes, the Mazda MX-5. This is a great example of a vehicle that doesn't care about your compromises. What Mazda is telling you with this car is that all you need in life are 2 seats and a very tiny storage compartment. As some would say, Miata is always the answer. Now, the Mazda Miata or MX-5 isn't exactly new. This is the 4th generation car that was released in 2016 that some like to call the ND. There was a new engine in 2019 and it arrives in 2022 pretty much unchanged. But it doesn't matter because this is a very fun car to drive. I absolutely adore the philosophy behind this car. Now, this is a model I particularly like. It is the RF version for retractable fastback. It's essentially a mechanical electronic roof. Now, some people will say that the standard soft-top Miata is the purest model, but I prefer the look of this one, especially when the top is up. It has a nice coupe-like profile. So come with me, we'll go for a drive, and we're going to enjoy together open-top motoring in the 2022 Mazda MX-5. Oh, damn it. Stupid short camera crew. All right. Okay, we're all set. Now, for the sake of this review, I had to close the top because the wind noise was just unbearable. You don't want to hear wind, you want to hear me talk, and you want to hear the car. So the roof is now closed, and the first thing I want to say is that you guys probably remember the Subaru BRZ that I reviewed a few weeks back. Now, that is the Mazda MX-5's main competitor. With the new BRZ now on the market with more power and a larger engine and a new platform, the Mazda MX-5 now has one heck of a competitor to take on. However, what allows the Miata to stay competitive in this segment, I don't really know if there is a segment anyway, is that it's very lightweight, it's very precise, and it's like a scalpel here on the road. For instance, whereas the BRZ is a much more confidence-inspiring drive, the MX-5 is constantly telling you what it's doing. It's always communicating what's happening with the rear and the front of the car. In other words, you need to drive it. You need to be attentive. Sure, there's only 181 horsepower, but the way the suspension was set up is that this feels like an overpowered 500 plus horsepower car. What I mean by that is that the rear end is constantly wiggling, and if I run it with traction control off and I apply throttle on corner exit, it's going to drift. It's really going to pull out at the rear. You can bring back the drift. Now, the Mazda MX-5 is best appreciated with the 6-speed manual transmission. Yes, there is an automatic, but I don't recommend you get that one. You want the manual because you're really going to be connected with the drivetrain and you're going to feel everything the car is doing. And it's also best appreciated on an open road like this one today, ideally during the warm summer months. Now, what's great about this car is that the fact that it's so tiny, you can really place it where you want it, and you always feel like you're going super fast when in reality you're not going that fast. I'm out here on a nice open piece of tarmac, and at the moment that as I enter this corner, immediately I know what the 4 wheels are doing. That's because the way that the suspension was set up, it's done in a way that there's still a bit of body roll, so the car is always moving from left to right. There's also quite quite a lot of pitch forward and rear. So it's not super stiff like what you would expect from other sports cars. It actually feels a bit soft, but this is the magic of the MX-5. This is what allows it to communicate everything it's doing to its driver. Now, I was talking about the engine earlier. Like I said, in 2019, Mazda brought some updates to the 2-liter 4-cylinder. It now pumps out 181 horsepower and 151 foot-pounds of torque. Now, those aren't very big numbers. However, what's great about this engine is that it loves to sing. For instance, I'm going to downshift in 3rd gear. Look at that. 65, 7,000, into the red line. And 7,500 RPM, 4th gear. And that is fun. The fact that you can really push the drivetrain to the limits of what it can do is really what constitutes the charm of an MX-5. Now, these things are bulletproof reliable. The 2-liter engine in here has been proven over and over in other cars in Mazda, like for instance in the Mazda 3. This is essentially a Mazda 3 engine that's been completely overhauled for sports car duties. Now, the 6-speed manual is also a charm to shift. Now, you probably noticed how cramped I am in this cabin. That's because the MX-5 is not a very big car. I'm 6 foot tall and I can barely fit in it. My seat is pulled all the way back, and the steering wheel is lifted as much as possible so it doesn't hit my knees. If you're over 6 foot, or if you're a bit rounder than I am, you're not going to like this car. You're not going to fit in it. That all being said, what you do have at your disposal is just enough. There's no digital display. It's all analog. I have a big tachometer in my face, tiny analog speedometer on my right. Believe it or not, in 2022, an analog speedometer already feels old. And there's not a lot of storage either. I mentioned earlier the tiny compartment. It's right here behind me, and that is all. There's no glove box in an MX-5. There's not really any room in the doors to put anything. I have this weird little socket here where I can slide my phone, but every time I accelerate hard, it goes flying out of the socket. I have 2 USB ports. Yes, I have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but I have to plug them in, but who cares about that? The infotainment system is fine. It's Mazda standard, BMW iDrive style system with that I control with the knob here on the center console. It works well, but you don't buy an MX-5 for the infotainment system. You buy it for this. You buy it because you feel like a hero every time you drive. As the old saying goes, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And it couldn't be more true with the MX-5. I can drive this thing tense all the time at the limit of what it can take and still be within the limits of the law. You're not going to lose your license with MX-5, and if you do, well, you kind of suck because you're not really going to be going that fast with the car. Another great example that Mazda doesn't care about your compromises are the cup holders that were installed right here. I can basically assemble them how I want. I can remove it. I can put one here or just throw it in the car if I don't want it, because who cares about cup holders? Honestly, frankly, do cup holders behind the manual transmission make any sense to you? I have a coffee here and I'm shifting. Look at this. If I go in 4th gear, I'm close. I'm not hitting it, but I'm close to the cup holder. I don't want to have hot coffee behind me right there. I don't know what's happening, especially when I'm cornering hard with the car. Forget all that stuff. Forget your cargo space. Forget your cup holders. What you want to do with the Miata is drive it. And you don't need more than this. This is impeccably perfect in every single way. So you see, the Mazda MX-5 is the perfect car. You don't need more than this in life to be happy. So these promises of massive crossovers with big cargo space are a bit foolish, especially if you don't have any children, you're alone, and with your spouse, you can get everything done with the good old Mazda MX-5. What's this?
Just put this in the trunk.
You want me to carry this?
Yeah, I got more stuff.
Okay. Are you kidding? No. Maybe if I... No, that's... It doesn't work.